Hi guys, following the falling out between Elon Musk and Nigel Farage, where the latter called for the leader of Reform to be replaced, we had our old friend Ben Habib appear on Reform UK friendly GB News to make excuses for pretty much all involved. Habib, who used to be a senior figure within Reform until his own disagreement with the leader, claimed in this interview that Elon Musk was right to back Tommy Robinson as the former leader of the EDL, in Ben's eyes, is a victim of a politically motivated kangaroo court. He then tried to sell the idea that Reform needs to embrace the politics of Robinson. Mad stuff. Have a listen to this.
And Nigel came on your show and he said that, I'll explain it to Elon. Well, actually, Elon, I'm sure, would have read how it was that the contempt of court case was brought against Tommy Robinson, and how Tommy Robinson ended up in jail. And I can't agree more with Elon Musk. Tommy Robinson became the political victim of a narrative and an ideology that has taken hold in this country, where you're not allowed to challenge any ethnic minority, given root through diversity, equity and inclusion, the regulatory and legislative framework which you and I have discussed many times on programs before. Now, you don't have to be a believer in Tommy Robinson. You don't have to be a denouncer of Tommy Robinson, but you've got to stick to the facts. And Nigel got the facts completely wrong when it came to Tommy Robinson's incarceration. And Tommy Robinson Elon Musk responded to her
But he is effectively in prison for contempt of court.
Yeah, but that doesn't brought by a political figure.
Doesn't mean that. But both two things can be true at the same time. One can be that he is in prison for contempt of court, which is true. The other can be that ultimately he's a political prisoner. Why can those two things not be?
But the key point is that it was a politically motivated court case, and that's what Elon was saying. Yeah. And I think just one more thing I'd like to say. Elon Musk is someone who is prepared to test the shifting of the Overton window. And it is vital, by the way, that we test the shifting of the Overton window across Western civilization. The reason I'm in politics is because I think that Western civilization, the United Kingdom, most pertinently in my case, faces an existential threat at multiple levels. And it's because of the way we've been governed for 27 years, and we need a 180-degree change in the way that we're governed. We will not achieve the change in the way that this country is governed unless we're prepared to test the Overton window. And Nigel, I'm afraid, has been extremely timid over the last few months in the way that he's gone about progressing Reform's progress.
Okay, so Nigel Farage is too timid when it comes to issues like, for example, what he's talking about here, immigration. Nigel Farage needs to be tougher. Nigel Farage needs to emulate the type of language that Donald Trump has engaged in and Elon Musk has engaged in. This is what he's trying to sell. And of course, Tommy Robinson. He needs to bring Tommy Robinson into the fold. He needs to embrace him and his ideology, and this is the way to deal with the Labour Party, the Conservatives, immigration, all of these issues. This is what Ben Habib is trying to sell. It's ironic, that Ben Habib is so adamant about bringing down immigration and treating migrants with nothing but contempt, considering that he's one himself, but we'll leave that for a moment. But what Farage is trying to do is he's trying to moderate the party. He understands if I want to get into power, I need to win over moderates. I need to win people who are on the left of where we currently are. If I stay on the far right or the radical right or whatever the hell you want to call it, I'm going to be stuck there. The best I could hope for is a junior coalition partner with the Conservatives, but I don't want that. I want to be in charge. I want to be calling the shots. Or perhaps he just wants to have more influence. I don't know. I still buy into the idea that Farage doesn't want to be Prime Minister, at least at the moment. He wants to have the influence over the Prime Minister, which is probably a better position to be in, because then you never get the blame for things going wrong. But if Farage wants to increase his numbers in Parliament, he needs to move to the centre. And there are people like Ben Habib and Tommy Robinson who don't want him to do that. They want him to go even further to the right, which would be insane, and it would reduce the voter bloc that Reform could rely upon. So the more extreme they appear, the more likely they will stay a smaller and smaller party. Farage understands that. Farage understands that he needs to moderate the tone. He needs to moderate the party, because if he does that, he can reach out to a wider base. And if he wants to have more power in Parliament, he needs to do that. If he wants to increase his numbers, he needs to be more moderate. And people like Ben Habib, who obviously have an axe to grind with Nigel Farage in particular, and Tommy Robinson, who see any move away from the far right as a betrayal, are going to constantly attack him. Now, this news of Elon Musk saying that the Reform UK party need to replace its leader is not good news for Nigel Farage, because it shows that he's been undermined. And now Farage could turn this around somewhat and perhaps even put somebody else in charge, but then be the guy behind the scenes. But I don't think Farage wants to do that. But there will be calls for a replacement going forward. Whether that actually takes place or not is another thing. It's still early days. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.